Welcome to Wedding on a Shoestring. Welcome to Wedding on a Shoestring. Each video I'm going to try and make something new for our wedding using as little money as possible. This week I'm bending the rules a little bit though. I am going to design something rather than make something, and it's a bit of an extravagance, something that we don't really need, but we both got really excited by the idea. So we're going with it for now, at least until we find out how much it costs, and then we might change our mind. What we'd like to do is design our own wedding rings, so that's what I'm going to talk you through today, the ideas that we've had. We really like the idea of having something quite personal and meaningful to us, especially if we're going to wear it on our fingers for the rest of our lives. It's not going to work if you squeak over what I'm saying. I'll also give you a few updates on things that have been happening since the last video. So, we've booked the photographer, and this afternoon we're going to go to a restaurant to see if they want to, or well, we want them to cater for our wedding. So that's exciting. Ow! So we've done some research and found out some designs from the internet, and from that we've had an idea for what we can do for our rings. So I'll show you that now. But first, let me give you a little bit of context. So I proposed on Crete. My girlfriend is Greek and I wanted to propose in her home country. And here's a tip for you: if you're going to propose somewhere where you can pronounce the name of where you're doing it. So I proposed in the Palace of Knossos, which I cannot say at all. I apologise for any Greeks listening. But it's basically a site of ancient Greek civilization. I was quite cunning with my plan. I basically said, "Oh, I'm feeling a little bit tired. Do you think we should sit down on that bench for a little bit and maybe take some selfies?" And then while we were taking those selfies, I got a ring out and proposed. And luckily she said yes. This is the ring that I proposed with, and yes, we are considerably more tan stroke burnt than we are now. We then wandered around the streets of Hania, or Chennai as I used to call it, until we found a ring for myself, which we found in this shop. So for mine we chose a blue ring, which was quite common across Greece, and the spirals are supposed to represent eternity, which I thought was quite fitting for this ring. And there we have our engagement rings. So a slight issue that we have, I know, with my engagement ring is it sticks out quite a bit here, quite a bit more than the actual ring bit that goes round. So if you were to put a straight-edged ring next to it, then it makes quite a gap, and it looks a little bit silly. So I think I need to get a ring designed that has a wavy edge so that it'll marry the engagement ring and they'll fit better together. We wanted something quite personal, and our first thought was to have our fingerprints engraved onto the rings. But we were worried that if we had that on the outside, then the ring might look a bit dirty, and if we had it on the inside, then you wouldn't see it most of the time. So instead we put that on the back burner and concentrated on what we wanted the outside of the ring to look like. The next obvious Google search was to look for Greek-style wedding rings, and of course we got a lot of hits on the meandering path symbol, which is supposed to represent life, and how life rarely runs in a straight line, which I love the symbolism of that, but it's very stereotypical, and we thought it was just a little bit too common a symbol to be for such a special ring. I did get a soft spot though for that ring at the bottom with the wooden background. We scrolled down the Google image page until we found some more obscure references, and then we started to see the same blue opal like I have in my engagement ring, and that gave us an idea. Maybe we could incorporate some of the blue into my partner's ring, so she would get some in her wedding band, whereas she doesn't have any in her engagement ring, and I wouldn't need it in my wedding band because I already have some in my engagement ring, and they'd complement each other. We also found that the shape of the rings were getting more obscure, and we wondered if we could find a shape that matched well with the shape of my engagement ring. So I could end up with a ring that had a more funky shape but was plain in colour, and my partner would end up with a ring that was perhaps plainer in shape but had that blue opal. If I'm honest though, it was becoming a little bit too modern for my taste. I prefer a more vintage design. Then we came across this, which we both really liked, perhaps without the black background, but this lacked the Greek symbolism, at least anything that was particularly relevant or meaningful to us. So we googled Greek symbols for eternal love and found these, which represent family love, soulmates, and infinity. And I just love them. We thought about incorporating them somehow into some kind of design around a band, but it was at this point that I kind of got overwhelmed, especially with the thought of having to shape it to fit my ring. And I kind of just stopped thinking about rings for about a week. And then my partner sent me 2 images that changed everything. The first one was of Hercules' knot, and I've always loved this as a knot. I love how the 2 ropes are mutually dependent on the other, and it creates a feeling of safety and security. As long as that other rope is there, that first rope is not going anywhere. But I thought it was just a knot. I didn't realise that it was a symbol as well, let alone a Greek symbol, and a symbol that represents love. In fact, it's thought to be the origins of the phrase tying the knot. So it's absolutely perfect. It represents the right thing, love. It's got a connection with ancient Greece, which is where I proposed, and it's just a symbol and a design that I really love and I always have done. The second thing that she sent me was a Hercules knot ring, and I absolutely love this. I think I just love it. It's not quite right. It's not a true Hercules knot. I'd need to have mine with a wavy edge so that it would fit with my engagement ring, and we're thinking that my partner would put the blue opal in hers, whereas I wouldn't have that because I already have that in my engagement ring. But now we have a basis, and a good strong basis that we can take to our jewellers and see what designs they can come up with now that we've had a good think about all the things that we want to incorporate into our rings.
If anybody has any advice on wedding ring design or what we should do in that respect, then please leave a comment. On a non-wedding related matter, I've also had my ear pierced since the last video. I've had the date pierced in an effort. I get a lot of migraines to see if that makes a difference. Because apparently having a date pierced is like an acupuncture point, and it can relieve migraines or even prevent them. So I'll let you know if it's working for me. We've also started a diet since the last video. We're both a little bit heavier than we'd like to be. I've got a load of tissues in my pocket at the moment because I've got a cold, as you could probably tell, but I've also got a bit of extra weight, so we'd both like to lose a bit. We started a diet, not anything too major. We did pull his ear off. We did cave and have fish and chips last night, so we're not taking it uber seriously, not being silly, but we have started a diet that's a little bit more protein heavy, more fruit and veg, less carbohydrates, less fat, and it does seem to be working. I've lost almost 1 kilo in 2 weeks, so I'm happy with that. If I can continue that rate, that would be good. If anybody has any tips on how to lose weight, preferably ones that are not too exercise rich, because I've got this dodgy ankle at the moment, it's healing, then that would be really good as well. So, thank you for watching. Really appreciate any feedback that you have, and I'll see you next time. Won't we, Milo? Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Yes. Go play. Oh, oh.